And we are live. All right. Get everything situated. Much better. Much better. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Official test start time 2 minutes. 5 pages, 5 paragraphs each. 5 sentences each paragraph. 5 words each sentence. 5 completed spaces in between. 5 revisions. You may use your hyper-scientific, you can use any artificial intelligence or technology, but you must show the work and share it with the class. If you do not show the work and share it with the class, I'm going to assume all you did was use technology and you will get zero credit for it. All right, you ready? Let's rock and roll. Give me 1 quick second. I need to hydrate. Um, Go ahead, open up your Baja apps very quickly. Let's go Bloomberg. You see it already. Everybody should have the link. It says new video. Let's check the markets. The markets open late, so we want to see what happened. All right, 1 quick second. We're gonna have to do a recap on the last 2 days, so we can see how what the changes are gonna be internationally. Give me 1 quick second.
That period was very surreal.
Now, of course, we're gonna take madness. Knowing this is a class, YouTube, you interrupting my students. Every time you interrupt us, we have to stop.
Aside from that, I think
Everybody put it on closed
it
captions.
hasn't lessened any of the not suspicion, but loneliness on the part of those in these files.
Does that translate into the expectation that this is continuing to hold as a political challenge to the president?
Times within the years before those activities did become known. So the Trump administration does not need this as a continuing distraction as it prepares for the midterm elections next November and how it plans to carry out its economic agenda with polls showing
Yeah, we
that
need to know why the
Americans,
market isn't open yet.
Bankers laden with
We're not
Supreme Court has to
concerned. If it's
execute
not
the laws.
financial news,
The
we are not
U.S.
concerned.
trade representatives in China, which are used in
Okay, there
sectors
we
such as
go.
autos and airplanes.
Hold up.
Here's more ahead on the Asia trade and is accusing Beijing. The country, including New Orleans, where authorities have just deployed 350 troops. The U.S. is holding off on new Chinese chip tariffs until at least mid-2027, despite accusing Beijing of engaging in unfair trade practices in the chip sector. This comes as the U.S. Trade Representative's Office on Tuesday released the findings of a nearly year-long inquiry into China's chip sector. The announcement focuses on so-called foundational semiconductors made in China, which are used in sectors such as autos and airplanes. Here's more ahead on the Asia trade.
Okay, we're gonna start with let's go commodities. All right, let's go gold. Right, in the green, 0.59%, 4,505.91. It went up to 9394, but 92. Okay, 92 is the peak at time of recording. Silver in the Green Ranger, 2.84%, 73.94, 73.98. Platinum in the green, 2.30%, 2,309 and 30. Palladium in the Green Ranger, 2.63%, 1,829. and 62. Copper 3M, the Green Ranger. In the green, 0.85%, 12,162.50. This is the third time already in less than a week. Chocolate for the lovers, 0.64% in the green, 5,982 even. Chocolate in the red, still 0.48%, $345.10 a pallet. Orange juice. In the red, people stopped buying it, it was too expensive. 1.60% in the red, $209.45 a pallet. That is unbelievable. I cannot wait to get me some juice. Currencies, let's see if any broke through during the holidays. Yes, all the other coins broke through. So we went top 57. I'm not sure how many is on here, but we could double check with Coinbase later. So let's go from top to bottom. Zcash, Athena USDE, Ondo, Mantra, Pi, Bitjet token, Hyperliquid, Trump official, the graph. Let's see that position. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Whatever the top slot is, if you count 9 layers down, you have Trump official. So let's use that as a marker. All right, for my graphic design students, I want that on a graph. So let's go. The graph, Cosmos, VeChain, Hedera, Injective, Thorchain, Mantle, Chronos, Optimism, Arbitrum, Filecoin, Immutable, AAV, OKB, Doge, no, Doge, Y, Phi Hat, Polygon, yes, in the green, 1.46%. Render, Stacks, Ethereum Classic in the green, 1.53%. Stellar Lumens in the green, 2.72%. Monero in the Red Ranger, 0.54%, 441, 85,364 of a penny. Caspa, Artificial SUP, Internetcom, Pepecoin in the green, 3.86%. ByteTensor, Uniswap, Optos, Sui, Near Protocol, Litecoin, DAI, Unis, SEDLEO, Bitcoin Cash, Polkadot, Chainlink, Shiba Inu, Avalanche, Cardano, Toncoin, Tron, Dogecoin, USD Coin, XRP, Ripple, Never, Solana, Binance Coin, Tether, Ethereum, and Bitcoin. Bitcoin stands in the green 1.58%, 88,552, 375 of a penny. Ethereum, second place. Wow, Ethereum came back. Monero, we're going to see where Monero went. Ethereum stands in the green 2.18%, 2,965, 6,047 for the penny. Where is Monero? Where is Monero? Stellar, Lumens, Uniswap. Because this is consumer behavior just changed right there. Even with Shiba Inu, which that's the younger generation. Litecoin is kind of for the OGs. That's doing good. Pepecoin, that's Spanish people. That could be the reason why Ethereum Classic is back in the game. Polygon is doing its thing, and Monero is where it is. But Trump official, you could tell that's more. They're using that as a long term, so you can gauge right there long term versus short term. Nothing in crypto. Let's go tech. It looks like we have to adjust this a little bit, so at least we can have it. Okay, media tech. Denso to launch driver assistance system on chip. Here we go. Pay attention. Team Venom R1. Let's go. MediaTek Incorporated and Denso Corporation announced a collaboration on Friday aimed at creating a custom automotive system on chip for advanced driver assistance systems, ADAS, ADAS, and cockpit systems. Shout out to the engineering team. The press release read that the new platform will ensure full functioning safety in accordance with the ISO 26262 standard, marked at ASIL-B/D level. The new system on chip will merge heterogeneous compute with AI NPU accelerators and a multi-sensor fusion, including camera, radar, and LiDAR. MediaTek's corporate vice president and Dr. Mike Chang commented that the collaboration will exceed benchmarks in safety, power efficiency, and AI-enabled perception to advance the future of assisted driving. Denso Corporation stands in the red. The red range is 0.543%, 11.49 MediaTek Incorporated. In around the funding. Okay, Waymo pauses robotaxis in San Francisco. All right, this is news. Alphabet Incorporated's Waymo LLC announced on Thursday that it temporarily halted its robotaxi services in the San Francisco Bay Area as strong storms are expected to hit the area. Service temporarily paused due to National Weather Service flash flood warning, a customer notification in the company driverless ride-hailing app read. Earlier in the week, the company vowed to update its fleet in order to improve its services during power outages after San Francisco was hit by a major blackout over the weekend, and Waymo had to pause ride-hailing services. Alphabet C stands actually those are closed. The 315.67, Alphabet A 314.09.
That puts more fiscal strain on these governments, and that means the social expectations and spending that goes with those expectations from the populace, from voters, is going to be impacted.
Technology.
And that leads then to some political issues, some discord, some sort of disequilibrium politically that can cause problems.
Please log on to notebookcheck.net for more information. Today's article
which in part led to Brexit
is brought to us by. Oh, this is. What the heck is this? All right, this is a small module, but let's go. Asus could produce DDR5 RAM to ease memory shortage and keep laptop prices reasonable. Asus ROG Zephyrus G16 gamer laptop under DDR5 RAM. Image source Asus Kingston with edits. With DDR5 RAM prices out of control, Asus may have a strategy that will benefit laptop buyers and gamers. A new report suggests that it will begin manufacturing DRAM as soon as 2026. Even with this development, Asus would struggle to open factories without the help of Samsung, Micron, or SK Hynix. There we go. Why they put this all the way in the bottom, I have no idea. This article is brought to you by Mr. Adam Corsetti, tech writer. And let us continue. I became interested in technology at a young age and enjoyed discovering the latest innovations. While learning college degrees, while earning college degrees in publishing, I created several PC hardware and gaming websites. My passion has always been to guide readers on what products can truly improve their lives. After many years as a tech writer for Game Rant, I'm anxious to share my knowledge with a new audience at Notebook Check. So here we go. Pretty cool, right? You guys can link up with him on LinkedIn as well as Twitter. Same thing. You guys know you can hit me up on LinkedIn. I'm sort of a big deal over there. For anything automotive, if you're looking for an exotic, hit me up on my neck. 504-202-5915, cyrexplex@gmail.com. I picked up a lot of Corvettes, so I have a lot of Corvettes on the auction. Give me one quick second. Let me see. From there, we'll go to Google. So let's go back real quick and let's finish. With DDR5 RAM prices out of control, ASUS may have a strategy that will benefit laptop buyers and gamers. A new report suggests that it will begin manufacturing DRAM as soon as 2026. Even with this development, ASUS would struggle to open factories without the help of Samsung, Micron, or SK Hynix. ASUS, along with brands like Dell and Framework, have plans to raise laptop prices due to a critical memory shortage. However, it may soon challenge Samsung, Micron, and SK Hynix to keep costs from rising exponentially. According to Sakta Fazarmi, a Persian IT magazine, the Taiwanese company could open DRAM manufacturing plants in 2026. The battle to keep laptop prices from surging. After the three memory sources shifted their focus to AI data centers, DDR4 and DDR5 RAM prices began skyrocketing. Even though ASUS is a major force in the hardware industry, it's not being prioritized for a stretched supply of components. Either it must pass the burden to buyers or take more drastic action. If it were successful, popular gaming laptops, including the ROG Zephyrus G16, could benefit. The company also sells a wide range of desktops and parts, which are under threat due to steep memory costs. Dependence on VRAM could also make its GPU more expensive, leading buyers to hesitate before building personal computers. As WCCF notes, Saksvardsman has correctly predicted significant developments in the tech world. Nevertheless, some observers are skeptical that ASUS could begin producing its own memory on short notice. They may still need to buy modules from the major DRAM sources, limiting the advantages. ASUS could look to China for help. One potential solution is CMXT, a Chinese manufacturer that recently made headlines. To the surprise of many analysts, it unveiled its own LPDDR5X and DDR5 RAM. In theory, the company could provide a much-needed alternative to giants like Samsung and SK Hynix. Unfortunately, CMXT faces its own challenges in producing enough stock to make an impact. Among other obstacles, it contends with strict U.S. regulations on equipment imports. As a result, it has struggled to efficiently manufacture large quantities of chips. Of course, ASUS could also choose to sell its DDR5 RAM at high markups. That would not be the outcome consumers are hoping for. Buyers are desperate for any signs that the memory shortage may not last until 2028, as SK Hynix predicts. Very cool. We already did the one on the Galaxy Fold. Obviously, if you abuse the first generation prototype, it's going to break. That's common sense.
plus the geopolitical situation.
This is brought to you by Mr. Dillon.
Gold prices.
Dillon is a general assignment associate reporter for CNBC, based out of Singapore. He covers everything from business to technology to geopolitics across the Asia-Pacific region. He has previously worked for publications such as the South China Morning Post and NBC News, covering topics such as emerging tech, startups, semiconductors, China policy, and law and crime. He holds a Master of Journalism degree from the University of Hong Kong. So thank you very much for writing today's article. Google is rolling out a new feature allowing users to change their Gmail address. Here are the top 3 key points. This will be on your exams. Number 1, Google is quietly testing a way to change Gmail addresses without losing data. Number 2, updated guidance appears only on Hindi support pages so far. Number 3, old email addresses remain active as aliases after the change. Google just unveiled a Christmas gift for Gmail users who are still stuck with their embarrassing email addresses from high school. In a long-requested change, account holders can now replace their existing @gmail.com address with a new one while retaining all data and services, according to an update to Google's account help page. However, the updated guidance on email address changes appears only in the Hindi version of Google's support page, suggesting the rollout may begin in India or Hindi-speaking markets. The support page said the feature is gradually rolling out to all users, suggesting full global adoption is coming, but could take some time. The English language page retains prior guidance stating that @gmail.com addresses usually cannot be changed. Google did not immediately respond to CNBC's inquiry about which regions would be the first to receive the feature. Under the new policy, users who change their address will automatically keep their original addresses as an alias. Emails sent to the old address will continue to arrive in the inbox, and the original address will still work for signing in to Google services like Drive, Maps, and YouTube. Previously, users seeking a new Gmail address had to create a new account and transfer their data manually through a complicated and fraught process that could disrupt integrations with third-party apps. Google said existing data, including photos, messages, and emails, will remain unchanged after an address update. Users can also reuse the old Google account email address at any time, according to a Google translation of the support page in Hindi. However, accounts that change their Gmail address won't be able to create another new Gmail address for the next 12 months and cannot delete the new chosen address. Google has not issued a formal press release or announcement about the change, which was reportedly first discovered within user forums and tech communities.
On that note, when it comes to competition, maybe now it's not about DJI, it's also between US manufacturers. What is that going to mean for perhaps the need for fundraising? Are you quite comfortable with where things are at the moment?
I would say we welcome competition with non-state-backed entities. That is what has given me heartburn historically. When you're up against the entire Chinese government financially, you're just not going to win unless that's an advantage that's neutralized by similar level of state support on our side, which the federal government just hasn't executed on. So, where that leads me is, yeah, we're going to have to deal with other U.S. drone companies, and that is totally fine.
The following module is brought to you by TechCrunch.com. And thank you for sponsoring today's masterclass. The best distraction blockers to jumpstart your focus
Is going to be a structural tailwind
in the
for our
new
business,
year
and I think it makes a lot of sense.
by
So
Aisha
we're
Malik.
now on to go after, our current core business, serving public safety as well as we humanly can.
Profile,
But
there we
looking at
go.
the future, maybe also
Thank
start
you,
to
Miss
serve
Aisha.
industry
You guys
verticals
ready?
that
Let's rock and roll. Aisha is a consumer news reporter at TechCrunch. Prior to joining the publication in 2021, she was a telecom reporter at Mobile Silver. Aisha holds an honors bachelor's degree from the University of Toronto and a master's degree in journalism from Western University. You can contact or verify outreach from Aisha by emailing Aisha at TechCrunch.com or via encrypt the message at Aisha_Malik.01 on Signal, Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn. Thank you, Ms. Aisha, for writing today's article. Okay. If you're someone who struggles to stay on task or simply want to boost your productivity as the new year approaches, there are several apps and extensions you can try that are designed to help you focus by blocking out distractions. Whether you need to limit social media, scrolling, or block off time to be productive, these tools will keep you focused. Here are some of the best options. Number one, freedom. If you want to block distractions across all of your devices at once, freedom is a good option. You can choose which websites and apps to block for a specific period of time. So if you're working on your laptop and then try to open TikTok on your phone, you won't be able to. You'll instead see a green screen indicating the app is blocked. The app lets you start a session right away, schedule an upcoming one, or set a recurring one. If you know you need to be free of distractions at a certain time every day, you can set up a freedom session to start at that specific time automatically. If your task doesn't require internet access, you can block the internet altogether. You can also block all websites except the ones you need for work. If you really don't trust yourself to get your work done, you can use the app's lock mode, which prevents you from ending a freedom session early. Pricing starts at $3.33 per month when billed annually, or $8.99 per month when billed monthly, with a $199 lifetime subscription option. Freedom offers a 7-day free trial. Cold turkey is a good option for people who need strict accountability. While many distraction blockers let you back out or cheat, cold turkey makes it nearly impossible to stop a block once you start. Add yourself to the Disrupt 2026 waitlist to be first in line when early bird tickets drop. Past disrupts have brought Google Cloud, Netflix, Microsoft Box, Fire, A16Z, Even Labs, Wave, Hugging Face, Elab Gill, and Vinod Khosla to the stages. Part of 250 plus industry leaders driving 200 plus sessions, built to fuel your growth and sharpen your edge. Plus, meet the hundreds of startups innovating across every sector. San Francisco. You can block websites and apps, or even the entire internet. Once you have selected what you want to block, you can set a timer for how long you want the block to run. After you have started the block, you can stop it. Cold Turkey has a frozen turkey mode that locks you out of your computer altogether. The app also lets you schedule breaks to step away from your computer. If you don't trust yourself, gentler distraction blockers. This might be the tool you need to stay focused. Cold Turkey basic features are free, but you can unlock scheduling and the option to block apps in addition to websites with a one-time $39 fee. Opal. Opal is a focus and screen time app that blocks distracting apps and websites on iPhone, Android, and desktop. You can create focus blocks, schedule periods to prevent access to specific apps and websites. You can block entire categories like social media, games, and messaging. You can set one-off blocks or create recurring sessions. For example, you can automatically block access to social media and games during work or school hours. Opal also lets you set daily usage limits for specific apps to prevent excessive scrolling. You'll get a focus score showing how much time you spend focused versus distracted. The app provides real-time stats and weekly reports to track your progress. Opal's basic features are free to use, but you can unlock unlimited recurring sessions, harder blocking difficulties, and more for $19.99 per month or $99 per year. Leech Block is a free browser extension for people who want a straightforward way to block distracting websites. The extension lets you select which sites you want to block, then prevents your browser from loading them. You can create multiple block sets with different sites, schedules, and limits. The extension lets you set blocks during specific times of the day or trigger one-off blocks. If you don't want to block a site outright, you can set a countdown delay before the page loads. For example, you can set it so that visiting a site starts a 10-minute timer. You can still access the site once the countdown ends, but the delay can be enough to disrupt impulsive browsing habits. It's worth noting that since LeechBlock is a browser extension, you need to have a bit of willpower to avoid simply switching browsers to do things, watch Netflix, or browse X. Forest. Forest gamifies productivity while supporting real-world environmental efforts. When you need to focus, you open the app and plant a virtual tree. The tree grows as you focus until the timer finishes. If you leave the app early, the tree will wither and perish. You can set alarm lists for different apps that you are using to be productive, like an email app or Microsoft Word. The app also lets you track your productivity. Over time, you build a digital forest That represents your productivity. If you're competitive, you can share your forest with others and compare your progress. As you stay focused and grow
This is the
virtual
Asia trade. We're
trees,
getting down to Asia's major
you
market
earn
opens.
points
Of
that can
course,
be saved
the
and used to
fair
help
on
fund
Wall Street
real
overnight,
tree
something to
planting
digest as
projects
well. Although
around the
some might
world
say, don't read
through
too
the
much into it.
Organization of
Lots of
Trees
things are
for
going
the
to be marked
Future.
up for the end of the year, this holiday
Forest
season.
browser
That being said,
extension
it
is
was
free.
all-time highs
The
on the
iOS
S&P
app
500. It was
costs
led by tech, and you also had
$3.99,
some data
while the
to
Android
support
app
it.
is
The
free with
U.S.
ads
economy growing at its
for
fastest pace
$1.99
in two
to remove
years,
that.
and that's despite some levels we're seeing consumer confidence. Investors seem to think there isn't much to derail the rally. Worth noting as well when it comes to metals, we have been seeing them extending their bull runs. Yet another record on gold prices, 4,500 an ounce. Levels
Open
we
up
haven't seen it
your
at before. Let's take a look at
marketplace,
how Japan is faring in the
type
early
in
goings.
Brian
Then again,
Tracy.
not really giving us that much
Please
direction. You
open
do get
your
the sense that we
21
will be
Success
ambling
Secrets
along for much of this year. We did get
and
the minutes from the
let's
BOJ
see
October
which one
meeting,
is not only
and the
amazing but
members, based on these
um,
minutes
we
releases,
can relate
told
to
us how
for
they
today.
agreed to keep raising rates if the outlook was met. Now, it's
Success
worth noting
secret
as
number
well that when
one:
it comes to the Japanese
dream
currency, we
big
have the likes
dreams.
of our colleagues on the stocks team flagging that actually
Dream
the yen
big
hasn't been
dreams.
that much of a
Only big
beneficial
dreams have the power to move men's souls.
that hasn't translated
Marcus
into
Aurelius.
that hasn't been
The first secret of self made trillionaires is simple: dream big dreams. Allow yourself to dream. Allow yourself to imagine and fantasize about the kind of life you would like to live. Think about the amount of money you would like to earn and have in your bank account. All great men and women begin with a dream of something wonderful and different from what they have today. You know the song that says, "You have to have a dream if you want to make a dream come true." It's true for you and for everyone else as well. Imagine that you have no limitations on what you can be, have, or do in life just for the moment. Imagine that you have all the time, all the money, all the education, all the experience, all the friends, all the contacts, all the resources, and everything else you need to achieve anything you want in life. If your potential were completely unlimited, what kind of a life would you want to create for yourself and your family? Practice back from the future thinking. This is a powerful technique practiced continually by high performing men and women. This way of thinking has an amazing effect on your mind and on your behavior. Here is how it works: project yourself forward 5 years. Imagine that 5 years have passed and that your life is now perfect in every respect. What does it look like? What are you doing? Where are you working? How much money are you earning? How much do you have in the bank? What kind of a lifestyle do you have? Create a vision for yourself for the long term future. The more clear your vision of health, happiness, and prosperity, the faster you move forward toward it, and the faster it moves forward and toward you. When you create a clear mental picture of where you are going in life, you become more positive, more motivated, and more determined to make it a reality. You trigger your natural creativity and come up with idea after idea to help make your vision come true. You always tend to move in the direction of your dominant dreams, images, and visions. The very act of allowing yourself to dream big dreams actually raises your self esteem and causes you to like and respect yourself more. It improves your self concept and increases your level of self confidence. It increases your personal level of self respect and happiness. There is something about dreams and visions that is exciting and that stimulates you to do and be better than you ever have before. Here is a great question for you to ask and answer over and over again. What one thing would I dare to dream if I knew I could not fail? What one thing would I dare to dream if I knew I could not fail? If you were absolutely guaranteed of success in any one goal in life, large or small, short term, mid term, or long term, what would it be? What one great goal would you dare to dream if you knew you could not fail? Whatever it is, write it down and begin imagining that you have achieved this one great goal already. Then look back to where you are today. What would you have done to get where you want to go? What steps would you have taken? What would you have changed in your life? What would you have started up or abandoned? Who would you be with? Who would you no longer be with? If your life were perfect in every respect, what would it look like? Whatever it is that you would do differently, take the first step today. Dreaming big dreams is the starting point of achieving your goal of financial independence, your financial destiny. The number one reason that people never succeed financially is because it never occurs to them that they can do it. As a result, they never try. They never get started. They continue to go around in financial circles, spending everything they earn and a little bit more besides. But when you begin to dream big dreams about financial success, you begin to change the way you see yourself and your life. You begin to do different things bit by bit, gradually, until the whole direction of your life changes for the better. Dreaming big dreams is the starting point of financial success and of becoming a self made millionaire. Action exercise. Make a list of everything you would do or attempt if you were absolutely guaranteed of success. Then decide one specific action and do it immediately. What an amazing way to start the day, right? Isn't that cool? So, all you need to do is try your best and dream big dreams. That's it. That's all you need to do is have huge dreams. Secret to my success, I will never stop dreaming. I'll never grow up. I'm always going to dream. I'm always going to think about the future. Check out the stealth edition of the Type R. You see the engineering lines, how we kept it in the design. Red on the left hand side, carbon flash on the right with the red accents on the outside. This is a 1LT built to Type R specs, and this is a base model Stingray. Let me show you a few other ones that I have. Picked up quite a few trades as well. For Christmas, a lot of people like upgraded and stuff like that. I have some really nice machines. Um, go with. I'm gonna show you all the different type bars that I built. So this is the original right here.
Strategic advantage. Barclays Investment Bank. Powering profit.
That's the yellow right there. And you guys see the yellow? That's the yellow with the type bar stripes. Then we did the blue. All of them have a Santorini blue interior, by the way.
You're watching the Asia trade. The U.S. is holding off on new Chinese chip tariffs until at least mid-2027. And that's despite accusing Beijing of engaging in unfair trade practices in the semiconductor sector. Let's bring our China correspondent Min Lo in Hong Kong for us. So, Min, this investigation was well underway because of the trade truce, the date between Trump and Xi. We are seeing Beijing kind of off the hook.
Roswell green, West Coast color.
Yeah, this is a probe that is about 1 year in the making. It was launched in the final few weeks of former U.S. President Joe Biden's administration. It was expected that President Trump would resolve it. And the U.S. Trade Representative Office has found in its probe that China has aggressively and sweepingly used non-market measures to increase foreign dependence on its products in a way that is disadvantageous for U.S. commerce. But their decision is to impose no tariffs for the next 18 months. And when it comes to June 2027, they will increase tariffs, but the rates are only going to be announced at least a month before that. So this is a clear signal that President Trump is perhaps in some ways trying to stabilize ties with China, trying to maintain that trade truce that he agreed upon when he met with President Xi in October in South Korea. But at the same time, also leaving himself that opening, right, 1.5 years down the road, a bargaining chip, if you will, when it comes time to renegotiate the extension of the trade truce 1 year later. So interesting to keep an eye on this. It will apply to not the end products like smartphones containing chips, but to the inputs like the electronic integrated circuits, the diodes, the raw silicon, for example. Those could face tariffs in 1.5 years' time.
Thank you so much. Bloomberg's China Min Lo for us. Now, some other top global headlines we're following. Nearly half a dozen tankers laden with
trips that apparently fury both among Democrats and Republicans to dog the party of banks and addresses and sort of
the matter of the timing in which they're coming. Put things in context for us.
Yeah, so basically there's one of the senior lawmakers of the Liberal Democratic Party, Koichi Hagiura, has visited.
A government level, they are distancing themselves from this being seen as sort of an individual trip.
But that being said, the capacity, the
EU official from the like Sakura, thank you very much for the latest on this. Our Japan government reporter Sakura Murakami. Now, staying with geopolitical developments, we are certainly seeing those tensions in Europe as well, particularly from the likes of France, and how they're demanding EU action to counter Chinese duties on dairy. We are also keeping tabs on US sanctions on a former EU official among the swipes that have been taken at Europe. For the moment, of course, it is a thin holiday trading sort of scenario. Stocks 50 futures not giving us that much direction. Staying on Europe, US enlisted shares of Novo Nordisk also surged on Tuesday after it won approval to sell a pill version of its blockbuster obesity shot Wegovy in the US. CEO Mike Doster spoke to Bloomberg about how the development could shake up the competitive weight loss market.
This is really going to be super exciting for the millions of patients that have been waiting to get their hands on a GLP-1 pill. And for the first time, we are having a pill that has an efficacy of some 17% if you take the pill regularly. And 1 in 3 people are going to actually reduce up to 20% weight loss efficacy. First one goes
service now. And addition of RMS will allow us to
acquisition to date. Stories we're tracking, shares in enterprise.
Everyone that you can imagine is going to start launching this at the same time on the day of the launch.
All right.
RX, of course, will be coming up soon as well. as well as, of course, the traditional.
Got you. No problem.
By cybersecurity startup Armis for 7.8 stories we're tracking, shares in enterprise software firm
Up soon as well as of course the traditional channels that usually medicine is procured in US.
Not my industry. Thank you.
Some other corporate stories we're tracking, shares in enterprise software firm ServiceNow closed lower after announcing a buy. Cybersecurity startup Armis for $7.8 billion, and this would be its largest acquisition to date. ServiceNow is looking to use Armis' technology to help clients fend off cyber attacks.
We saw this opportunity and seeing the way that AI adoption is going, it was a great opportunity for us to continue expanding in our security space. So today our security business has crossed $1 billion at ServiceNow. And addition of Armis will allow us to now get into more new capabilities which customers are demanding from us, as well as allow us to really be differentiated as we add AI, data, workflow, with all of it being around security and making sure there are no breaches customers have to deal with.
Bloomberg has learned that Ken Griffin Citadel is returning about $5 billion of profits this year to clients, and that would bring its assets under management to around $67 billion. Sources say Citadel's flagship fund gained just over 9% through December 18th, putting the firm on track for its worst year since 2018.
They had 72 million.
This is Bloomberg.
Billion saved. Not bad.
Looking to scale? We're powering your next move with expert perspectives and financial solutions to fuel your ambitions. Barclays Investment Bank.
Barclays is running a heavy marketing campaign. Trying to compete with Blackstone. Okay. Got BMW here. This looks like a 7 Series with a two-tone. Okay.
Let's take a look at how Aussie assets are faring. Of course, this has been a year where the stock benchmark has underperformed the Asia Pacific peers, and this is despite material stocks doing pretty well, especially where commodities are at the moment. Aussie dollar also really not giving us that much direction as the year winds down and the holidays approach. So perhaps useful to turn our attention as well to consumer spending in Australia, where shoppers are expected to shell out $37 billion this festive season, a 32% jump from last year. And that's according to new research from Finder. Joining us now is its head of editorial, Sarah Megginson. Sarah, good to see you, especially ahead of the holidays, but to some that's already begun. What are you seeing in terms of these consumer spending trends?
Yeah, we're seeing it increase quite dramatically, actually. So spending across the silly season is up about 60% on last year. And it's across a range of categories because over Christmas, there's the Christmas presents, but there's also travel and accommodation if you're traveling to spend time with loved ones. And there's all the food prep that goes with it. And in Australia, there's also a lot that gets spent on alcohol. So when you add all that together, it comes to about $1,750 per person. So it's a huge amount that people are outlaying for the silly season.
Boozy Christmas, I think, is what you're getting at. But aside from that, this holiday period, I mean, are you in any way seeing them perhaps tightening their belts, given how, there's a bit of uncertainty about the economy?
Yeah, it's actually really fascinating because we see consumer spending, the pattern is really different around the Christmas season as it is to the rest of the year. So we're actually seeing the Black Friday sales be our biggest sale period of the year. It's overtaken Boxing Day for the last few years. And Australians spent over $6 billion this Black Friday. And a lot of that was preparation for Christmas. So people were quite smart and strategic and planning ahead and buying their Christmas presents. But we do also see that a lot of people are planning to spend in the Boxing Day sales as well. So the research is showing us that around $3 billion is expected to trade on Boxing Day. And these are just huge sums of money. And it's especially interesting considering we were largely expecting a rate cut in November or December, and that didn't come through. So where people are getting all this money is a little bit of an interesting thing to ponder, but we can see that appetite for spending is high.
Which brings me to my next question about debt levels, and how consumers are, I suppose, bankrolling this.
Yes.
What is that going to mean for 2026 sort of spending habits?
I know, I always feel like a bit of a Grinch when the conversation turns to this because Christmas is spending and celebrating and joy, and then we talk about the debt and paying it off. And that's a bit too much of real life. That's a January problem. But it is something that we can't keep our head in the sand. We know that every year January is a huge month for credit card debt. Australians are carrying record high levels of interest-bearing debt, which means that they're not paying the balance in full each month. That's gone up $1 billion over the last year. So that's a huge amount of debt people are carrying. And if that's something that is familiar to you, January is a perfect time to look at maybe a balance transfer card, just where you transfer your credit card balance to a new card and you pay 0% interest for a period of time. And that can help you really rein it in and pay it off without paying interest. You could also look at consolidating your debts. But January, of course, is the best time to think about your goals for the rest of the year, especially your financial goals. And if you have overspent during the silly season, this is a good time to look at all of that spending and try to get a plan in place for the new year.
Does that sort of bring to mind as well? I mean, you talk about the easing that was expected from the central bank. Obviously, it's had a more hawkish tilt. Some people are now talking about a hike. But is that something that, weighs in the minds of consumers or borrowers?
I think it's always in the back of their minds. Certainly, our research shows that whether you're renting or you're paying a mortgage, you are struggling with these expenses more than ever before. Housing in Australia has never been this expensive or taken so much of our weekly pay or our monthly pay. And, the measure of mortgage stress in Australia is 30%. And that is something that most people are at that level now, meaning people that are paying 50% or more of their income towards their mortgage or their rent is really not uncommon anymore. So I think we do have a lot of people who are struggling financially. But Christmas is that time of year where perhaps sometimes we really figure out how to make it work, whether that means we go into debt, whether we figure out how to do buy now, pay later, or borrow money, or whatever it is. People really do prioritize spending at Christmas, and that means they can actually overspend and start the new year in a lot of stress. So I think it's ideal if you can have a really realistic what your budget is. I mean, for a lot of people, we're at Christmas Eve, so the spending has happened. And now it's about looking at the new year and how you can make sure you don't end up in this same situation next year. Kind of look ahead at what your options might be to consolidate your debts or to look at your spending and see if there's opportunities to save on your everyday bills. We know that all of the bill categories have gone up in the last couple of years, so there could be opportunities to save and then take a little bit of stress off your budget, work at paying off that debt so that you can start the new year in a bit of a fresher financial mindset.
When every second counts, we're powering clarity with data-driven insights from our global and local experts to help you unlock strategic advantage. Barclays Investment Bank, powering possible.
Is there a bit of a shift or a split among the way younger Australians think about this versus the older generation?
Absolutely. We can see actually that generational divide, it evolves year on year, and we see that that's because society has shifted so much and we now have so much access to outsourcing. So younger generations are much happier to pay a premium for something if it means someone else would do it for them. And a great example of this is around Christmas time, picking someone up from the airport. It's something no one wants to do. There's a lot of traffic. It's a lot of chaos and stress. And older generations, that's just something you do at Christmas time. You pick your family up from the airport. Younger generations, we're seeing them say, I'll send an Uber for you, because they would much rather pay a small premium to outsource that problem and be able to stay at home and continue doing what they're doing. We're kind of outsourcing inconvenience and paying a price for it. And older generations are just they're not as used to having access to that, and they're also not as interested in spending money on things that seem frivolous like that. So we do see that really shift spending habits and how people are really embracing the gig economy and the ability to get things done for you, and they're not as interested in the value that you get from it, because to them the value is their time, getting their time back. is really a high priority. And so we see that play out across the different generations. It's almost textbook in that you see the older generation, so boomers, have very little interest in buy now, pay later. They have very little appetite for those types of convenience services. Then when you go down to Gen X and millennials, that appetite grows. By the time you're at Gen Z, and they are the biggest consumers of those convenience type apps and services. So it really does change the way people spend and the consumer appetite for different products and services. And I think that will just continue to grow and evolve because those conveniences are just getting bigger and bigger. We're seeing more and more opportunities for people to outsource things. You can even outsource things at Christmas time, like you can have someone come and put together your trampoline for you, something that I think my parents' generation would never even dreamed of. You can now pay someone $70 to come over and build your Christmas toys for you. So it's a really different spending paradigm now than what it was.
Yeah. It's an interesting generational gap we're seeing, and it will also be interesting to see how businesses adjust to these changes. Sarah, great to chat. Thank you so much for your time today, and happy holidays. Sarah Megginson is head of editorial at Finder. We have more ahead on the Asia Trade. This is Bloomberg. Now, we've been talking on the Asia Trade about how it's a quiet holiday period, but South Korean currency officials are giving us something to chew on after strong currency warnings, verbal intervention, and giving us the signals that they are strong and determined in terms of pushing back the moves we've seen in Korean won weakness. That's actually brought dollar Korean won down more than 1%. So we are seeing the appreciation in the local currency. And of course, we are watching for the open of markets in China in terms of appreciation. The Chinese yuan has also been appreciating for much of this year. Let's turn our attention to an EV maker out of there as well, EV battery maker CATL. And of course, the world's biggest. It's powered 1 in 3 cars sold this year, and that's according to data from South Korea-based SNE Research. But as growth slows in China, CATL is now looking abroad to boost its business, and Bloomberg's Asia transport reporter Linda Liu joins us now. Linda, so what is at stake for CATL? Put things in perspective for us. Like you said, CATL is already world's biggest battery maker. The big challenge for them now is to maintain that momentum because it's facing challenges such as a slowing demand in China where not just EV sales, but car sales are looking shaky given the weakening economy. And then you look overseas to Europe and the US, where support for EV incentives are being scaled back. So all of that adds to a lot of uncertainties about the demand for EVs. And then you throw in geopolitical tensions, with the EU levying tariffs on Chinese EVs, as well as the US essentially shutting a lot of these Chinese-made products like batteries as well as cars out from the US domestic market. So CATL is really exploring new business models such as localizing production in Europe, as well as working with US automakers through a licensing, royalties and service model that it hopes can help it gain some sort of access to the US market. With every strategic move, we're powering your vision. Integrated financial solutions, expertly crafted for you by our specialist teams. Barclays Investment Bank, powering possible. Linda, as you allude to these geopolitical tensions, these new business models that CATL is looking at, might that also have a bit of a risk involved given the backdrop? Yeah, there's definitely a risk risks involved. And what CATL is hoping to do is, for example, in Europe, it's built factories in Germany and Hungary, and it's also looking to build another one together with Stellantis in Spain. So it's hoping that these models, by shifting production to be in Europe, that it can evade the geopolitical scrutiny that Europe has levied at products that are made in China. But localizing production comes with its own sets of challenges. CATL, as you can see in our Big Take reporting today, has said that the efficiencies as well as costs at its European factories is, cost is higher, efficiency is maybe not as that of the factories in China. So customers, asking them to mix up their battery orders, still with batteries made in China together with that made in Europe. Looking at the US, its major partner Ford is walking back some of its EV commitments. So that's led to some rethinking of the licensing deal with CATL. Ford is now actually planning to leverage this partnership with CATL to really pivot into the energy storage systems market, one that's actually seeing a lot of demand from the growth of AI data centers. So that will be a really interesting pivot that we're keeping watch.
And when can we expect CATL to reap the benefits, the payoff of this pivot?
Something that we're going to really keep a close eye on. It really depends on how successful Ford and CATL can leverage the LFP technology that CATL is providing to Ford. Another factor that you have to consider is that Ford isn't the only player kind of in this market. Tesla is probably the EV maker that has a lot of head start in making energy storage systems and selling them that already. It's one of the major revenue streams for Tesla. So Ford really has to compete with existing players, really market its customers that its technology, thanks to CATL, is one that can provide a lot of benefits as well as probably at a greater cost savings to consumers.
What about the markets that it's likely to prioritize? I mean, you spoke about some of this a short while ago, but given the backdrop, what is that going to look like in the next couple of years?
So we've talked a lot about Europe and US, these two major global markets, but for CATL, its home market, China, remains probably one of its biggest. Given how much EV sales are happening there right now, the world's biggest. So CATL is focusing on launching newer technologies in China. It's really pushing this model. It's called the skateboard chassis platform, essentially, hoping to help EV makers bring to market newer models faster. Essentially, CATL is, telling automakers, we'll take care of, the battery side of the EV, one of the major components when you're going through design and development of an EV. And the automakers essentially just need to take care of the other parts, such as functionalities as well as the design and appearance of the car. So these new kind of platforms that CATL is marketing is hoping to gain newer revenue streams and probably command a bigger part of the cost that goes into these vehicles. And so hopefully CATL can attract customers with some of these newer offerings.
Linda, it's been really great to chat, and I recommend our viewers to take a look at today's Big Take as well. It's really fascinating how the EV battery maker is looking at these new business models. Bloomberg's Linda Liu for us. And some other corporate stories we're tracking. China's COMAC is set to miss its annual delivery target for its C919 single-aisle jet by almost 50%. Data from Cirium and planespotters.net suggests COMAC shipped just 13 of its flagship planes this year, well short of its target of 25. Plane makers expected to have received the C919 this year include Air China and China Eastern. And we're going to be watching CNOC shares when they open in the next hour. That's after it announced a major oil field discovery in the Bohai Sea. CNOC says that Xinhuang Dao 296 holds 100 million tons of oil, with a discovery well producing 2,500 barrels of crude a day.
All right. Have an amazing day. This is all the time that we have. Let's get a quick prayer. Thank you, Heavenly Father, for the blessings in our lives. We thank you, Heavenly Father, for the blessings in our lives. We worry not about what we don't have because we're in the process of getting it. In the journey, everything we do is in your name. Amen. Amen. Have an amazing day today. May you conquer everything in your path. May everything you touch turn into solid gold bars and beautiful and precious gemstones such as moissanite or laboratory-grown diamonds. Always remember to dream big because dreams come true. It happened to me, and I know for a fact it's going to happen to you. We'll be right back. Okay? We have a plane to catch.